What if events had unfolded differently? What if Marvel's What If Episode 5 had a different alternate take on the story? How would this change the MCU multiverse and timeline as a whole? In today's Marvel's What If, I will be exploring a horrific take on Episode 5. This will contain major spoilers for Episode 5 of Marvel's What If, so please do proceed with caution. Our fanfiction timeline takes place just after the events with Vision. After realizing what he's done, Vision had to atone for his sins after he knocked out Black Panther and slowly fed him to Wanda to keep her hunger satisfied. He wanted to give the survivors a fighting chance against the zombies before it was too late. The fight was continuing down below while the heroes left in the Quinjet. Vision had killed himself by ripping the Mind Stone out of his head. Spider-Man gained the Mind Stone as they watched Hulk and Scarlet Witch get into a fearsome fight. Hulk watched on, seeing the heroes leave him behind, and he knew that by fighting Scarlet Witch, this would at least let the heroes get away at a good time for what happened after Vision was killed. Hulk knew that Scarlet Witch would be hard to fight, but he had to do what he had to do. The heroes such as Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Headless Ant-Man watched as they were arriving in Wakanda after a long battle with hordes of zombies and zombie Scarlet Witch. They needed to find a cure for the zombie virus before the entire world became infected. With the Mind Stone at hand, they might have a chance at reversing everything that happened. Hulk managed to gain the upper hand on Wanda by using his hands to clap her back. Scarlet Witch was stunned by the attack and was ready to separate Hulk from Banner. She screamed using all of her force, but Hulk managed to clap her face in, killing her dead. Wanda's body dropped to the ground while the other zombies surrounded the Hulk. Hulk tried his best to fight off the rest of the hordes, but was overwhelmed. Zombies bit into his legs while they were jumping on top of him, slowly eating him alive. Hulk screamed in pain, super jumping out of the area before his eyes turned into bloodshot red color. The Hulk was infected with the virus and he knew that the heroes would be going to Wakanda. Hulk's best plan was to eat the rest of what he could before that there was no more food left. The mindless zombies followed the Hulk to Wakanda. At the same time, Thanos had killed Gamora after she gave Thanos the location of the Soul Stone, while Thanos threatened to kill Gamora's sister, Nebula. With almost all of the stones acquired, Thanos knew that he could gain the time and the Mind Stone on Earth. Thanos went back to Titan and waited for his Black Order to give him the rest of the stones. He was confused and waited until none of his members showed up. Thanos assumed that the heroes of Earth might have killed his Black Order, but how could that be? They were just mere humans. His Black Order had some of the most powerful members in the entire universe. Thanos didn't waste his time. He used the gauntlet, sending a portal to Wakanda. The Mad Titan felt that the stones were near, but nothing was in sight. Everything was dark and quiet. All of the people were already gone, and Thanos laughed, telling the people of Earth to come out because their savior was here. Thanos used the gauntlet, showing the raw power of the Power Stone. Using it to smash through Wakanda's barriers, Thanos laughed and continued to walk through Wakanda until he saw something in the distance. There were what looked like to be people, and Thanos used the Space Stone to get a closer look, slowly walking towards the people until he realized that they weren't people. They started attacking him. The zombies were closing into Thanos. They were trying to bite him, but it didn't work. Thanos was already at his full power, and he used the Reality Stone to test what the zombies were doing. They tried to manhandle his projection of himself, and it was completely eaten. Thanos knew that something was amiss, and that something was at play here. He couldn't understand what it was, but he knew that he had to do something. Using the gauntlet at hand, Thanos wiped out the zombies in an easy fashion. The heroes that escaped Scarlet Witch's onslaught landed the Quinjet into Wakanda, but it was already overrun by the zombies. The defenses had already been broken into. Spider-Man asked T'Challa if it was already too late. If Wakanda was down, then they don't have much time to study the Mind Stone. Black Panther explained that if they can get into Shuri's lab, they might just buy themselves just a little bit more time to get away from the infected. Headless Ant-Man, zombie hunter Spider-Man and Black Panther opened the Quinjet doors and were horrified to see what was going on. Somebody was screaming and fighting off tons of the undead. Spider-Man told Black Panther that they should help the person out before he's infected too. All three of them were shocked to see the person in the distance using some kind of gauntlet to wipe out every zombie in his path. Spider-Man laughed, saying that that's one of the coolest things that he's ever seen before. Black Panther yelled for Peter to get inside before more infected come in. The three left Thanos to fight the zombies by himself. The Incredible Hulk put up a good fight, only for him to be trapped by the infected. Hulk followed the Quinjet to Wakanda, breaking through the barriers. Black Panther yelled for Peter to get inside before more of the infected would overrun them. The three left Thanos to fight the zombies by himself. The Incredible Hulk put up a good fight, only for him to be trapped by the infected. Hulk followed the Quinjet to Wakanda, breaking through the barriers. He screamed, seeing the Quinjet, but nobody was around until Hulk turned left and he couldn't believe his eyes. It was none other than the Mad Titan himself. Hulk had a flashback of the Asgardian ship when Thanos knocked him out. Hulk remembered this and screamed, running towards Thanos. The Mad Titan wasn't quick to react and he used the Infinity Gauntlet, but Hulk grabbed both of his two hands, crushing them. Thanos screamed in pain and was bitten on the neck. The Mad Titan broke free from Hulk and he used the Space Stone on his head, cutting off the Hulk's head. The Hulk's body dropped to the ground and he was dead, but Thanos knew that he would turn into one of those freaks unless he finds the last two stones, not realizing the infection spreads fast before the Mad Titan couldn't do anything else. He was already infected. Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and Black Panther watched from afar, seeing that something was coming towards them. The glowing of the gauntlet was getting brighter and bigger as this thing was coming closer. Black Panther was studying the Mind Stone, but they didn't have much time. Peter told T'Challa that they better get out of here now because trees and gravel were coming everywhere at them. Rocks and bodies were flying everywhere into the lab. Thanos was using the Power Stone to throw whatever he could at the buildings. He saw that there was food and Thanos was hungry. Spider-Man swung outside on top of a building to get a better look. He was horrified to see whatever this was has been infected. Spider-Man informed Ant-Man and Black Panther of what happened, but Thanos used the Reality Stone in front of Spider-Man to trick him. Thanos turned back into his normal self and talked to Spider-Man. He told Spider-Man that all he needs is the Mind Stone and it's in Wakanda somewhere. Peter laughed, saying that this is his only chance at saving all of this, and it would be using the Mind Stone. He can't just give it up, especially since he's not even a real person. Spider-Man swung below, trying to kick Thanos, but the Mad Titan's raw power grabbed Peter by the neck, smashing him down to the ground. Peter was slowly trying to get up, but he could see zombies walking towards him. He turned his head, watching Thanos turn back into a zombie. Zombie Thanos was getting closer to Spider-Man before a portal came crashing down in the sky. Earlier, a flashback shows that Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy worked together in this timeline. Thor went with the Guardians to nowhere, where they confronted Thanos. After seeing Thanos already get the Reality Stone, he took Gamora as hostage, teleporting her away. The rest of the Guardians decided to trust Thor, and they went to the Dying Star to gain an ancient axe called Stormbreaker from Eitri. The axe could withstand the power of the Infinity Stones. Thor explained to the Guardians he would strike down Thanos and take his revenge for the death of his brother Loki. But what they didn't know was that the whole world has already been infected with the zombie virus. Thor and the Guardians used the Bifrost from the axe to get to Wakanda. They watched, but nobody was around. All they could see was a fight in the distance. Thanos gained the upper hand on Spider-Man, easily grabbing the Cloak of Levitation and ripped it from him. Spider-Man didn't know that the Eye of Agamotto was on the Cloak of Levitation, and the Time Stone was ripped apart from the cloak. Since Doctor Strange didn't put a spell on it in this timeline, Thanos broke it and laughed, kicking Spider-Man to the ground. The Mad Titan screamed in agony, but placed the stone on the gauntlet. The zombified Thanos watched as Ant-Man and Black Panther ran outside to help Peter, before the Mad Titan raised his hands in the air, freezing time. Thanos had decided to eat Black Panther, and he killed Ant-Man with no mercy. Thanos was about to turn his attention to Spider-Man. A cape was moving in the air, floating in front of Thanos. Thanos screamed before Thor, the god of thunder, used all of his powers from his new Stormbreaker. Star-Lord threw a bomb, holding Thanos' arm burned down with electricity, while Drax went for Thanos' legs and Mantis went on top of his head, keeping him paralyzed just enough time before Thor could cut Thanos' head off, killing him for good. Spider-Man couldn't believe that his last few friends were killed, but Thor saved him in time. Mantis couldn't control her powers. It was too unstable with an infected Thanos. He used the Power Stone, screaming, trying to break free. Thor threw Stormbreaker at Thanos' chest and told Thanos that he would die for that, and pushed it further into his chest. But Thor looked at the Mad Titan's face, and something was off. Thanos used the Space Stone coming from behind Thor and was about to bite him before Spider-Man used his webs on Thanos' face. Star-Lord shot at him while rockets started firing at Thanos' face. Spider-Man told them to come with him if they want to live. Thor grabbed Stormbreaker and the Guardians followed Spider-Man. Peter swung into the Wakanda lab, showing Thor the Mind Stone. Thor was confused and realized that Thanos wanted to have all of the stones, but he couldn't understand why. Thor told the Guardians and Spider-Man that if they could somehow get the gauntlet from Thanos and put the Mind Stone on, he might be able to cure everybody from the zombie plague. Thanos was catching on the heroes, easily breaking into the Wakanda lab. He used the Power Stone, taking out half of the building. Star-Lord yelled and told the Guardians to hold off Thanos while Thor and Spider-Man move into the distraction. The Guardians were having a hard time holding the line, but Thanos was having trouble. The longer he was infected, the more mindless he was becoming. The stones were slowly wearing him down, and Spider-Man told Thor that he's seen this before where their skin would deteriorate. If they could make Thanos use the stones, it might overpower himself, letting them get an opening to strike him down. Thor agreed with the plan and picked up the Mind Stone and his Stormbreaker. He told Spider-Man that he was a good man, and he wished he and the Avengers could have fought alongside each other. The Mad Titan was being attacked and overwhelmed, but it was already too late. With the Time Stone, Thanos could easily wipe the floor with all of them. Star-Lord was punched in the face by Thanos and kicked to the ground. Thanos grabbed Drax, who was about to cut off Thanos' face from behind, but Thanos used the Reality Stone, making Drax fall apart. Star-Lord raised his gun, shaking his hand, and he pulled the trigger in the nick of time, hitting Thanos' face. Thanos turned his head and pointed the Power Stone at Quill. He shot a massive beam towards Star-Lord, but it was blocked by Thor's axe. Thor's axe swung in the air, dodging the attack. The blast went back, hitting Thanos in the chest, making him fall back, stunned. Spider-Man swung towards Thanos, who was down, while Nebula took two swords, stabbing Thanos' arm into the ground, while Spider-Man tried using his webs to rip the gauntlet off of him. The Mad Titan screamed as his arm was ripped off from the webs. Thor grabbed his axe, scraping it on the ground while he powered up his lightning. He charged at Thanos, using the final blow towards his head, killing him for good. Thanos' face blew up. Thor was shocked at just what transpired in front of him. He got his revenge, but was it all worth it? After everything, all the heroes were lost, and he lost so much. Thor looked at Spider-Man and told Peter that they were going to end this now and bring everybody back. Peter extended his hand out towards Thor, giving him the Mind Stone. Thor chopped off Thanos' arm, putting the gauntlet on. He screamed in pain, putting the last stone on. Thor had gained every stone. Spider-Man and the Guardians watched as Thor's arm was being ripped apart. Screaming, he snapped his fingers. Thor fell back to the ground and he tried to move, but he couldn't. Peter ran towards Thor as they were shocked to see what happened. Thor told them that he tried to cure them, but he could only erase them all. All of the infected, everybody around the world were all dusted. Peter cried, knowing that the last Avenger had fallen. Thor died that day, a hero that saved everybody from Zombie Thanos and the virus itself. The rest of the Guardians, Spider-Man, and the survivors on Earth started rebuilding what they could after they lost so much. Peter returned to New York City and went to the Sanctum Sanctorum, reading and learning everything he could about Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme. Peter sat in the chair remembering all the events that happened with Bruce Banner, the Avengers, Tony Stark, Thor, everybody. He couldn't believe that he lost so much in a short period of time. Peter saw the Eye of Agamotto and grabbed the cloak. Peter's eyes opened and green went all around his hands. He thought that he had the great power, and it was his responsibility to make sure that this never happened. Peter used the time stone, reversing time. He could see where he was before the outbreak. He ran off of the bus swinging away and knew that with the time stone, he would be able to fix everything, eradicating the zombie plague for good. And that is going to be What If, Marvel's What If episode 5. This was a really cool fan fiction, I think. I really wanted to continue episode 5's story. The way that they ended that with Thanos, I was like, no, I really gotta end this. I gotta put a really good ending, and I love the writers at Marvel's What If, but I couldn't wait. I was like, I need to write this. I need to get this out. And I really wanted to put in the Guardians and Thor, because I do believe after the Asgardian ship, they probably would have still been alive, and they would have went to Wakanda to really battle zombified Thanos. So that is going to be my What If on Marvel's What If. And if you guys did enjoy this video, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn your notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. But anyways, as always, guys, thanks for tuning in and have a fantastic day.